My wife hired a hitman to make me disappear and take all my money. Days later, I faked my death, and she never imagined what I would do to get revenge and make her pay for all hers evil. My name is Cameron Ward. I am 36 years old, and if you met me a year ago, you would have thought I was the luckiest man alive, a successful architect with a rising firm, a beautiful wife everyone admired, and a life that, from the outside, looked polished, controlled and enviable. But let me tell you something right now, looks can be the most dangerous lie ever created, and mine almost got me killed. I spent more than a decade building my empire, project by project, sleepless night after sleepless night, until I turned my small studio into one of the most respected independent architecture companies in the state. People would look at my designs and call me gifted, but the truth was simple. I was just a man who knew hardship and refused to quit. And maybe that is why what happened to me cut so deeply, because the betrayal didn't come from my competitors, or some jealous rival. It came from the woman I loved, the woman I called my wife, the woman I trusted with my entire life. Her name was Serena, 33, elegant, poised, the kind of beauty people stopped to stare at, and from the moment I met her, I was done for. She worked in interior design, so our worlds overlapped naturally, and when we collaborated for the first time, the chemistry was immediate. Clients loved us, people joked we were the power couple, and I genuinely believed we would be unstoppable together, and in the beginning, we were. She made me laugh, she understood my long hours, she believed in my dreams, or at least that is what I thought. Looking back, I realized Serena was studying me from the very beginning, not loving me, but calculating me, analyzing how much she could get, how far she could stretch my generosity, how deeply she could plant herself into my life. I ignored the signs, the way she always needed the most expensive things, the way she pushed me to put properties in both our names, the way she insisted I remove my sister as my emergency contact and put her instead. Little red flags I brushed aside because love makes fools of the smartest men. Everything changed the night I found the first clue, a small mistake on her part, but the beginning of the unraveling for me. She said she was spending the evening at a networking event, something she often did, but her phone buzzed while she was in the shower, and the message preview on the lock screen made my entire body freeze. It was from a man I had never heard of, and the words were short, simple, and devastating. Same time tomorrow, and make sure he's not suspicious. I stared at the screen for a long moment, wondering if I was misreading it. But instinct told me I wasn't. Instinct screamed that something dark was unfolding behind my back. I didn't react right away. I waited, watched her, studied her the same way she had studied me without my knowledge, and within days, everything became clear. She was cheating on me, not just casually, but deeply, confidently, repeatedly. The man's name was Darius, a private contractor with a criminal record. I didn't know who he was to her, but their messages made it clear they were more than just lovers. They were partners, and not just in bed, but in business, in conspiracy, in something bigger than adultery. I dug deeper, quietly, and what I found made my blood run cold. Serena wasn't planning to leave me like any ordinary cheating spouse. She was planning to get rid of me permanently, and not metaphorically. Literally, she had hired Darius, her lover, to kill me and make it look like an accident. Because in her perfect world, she would walk away with my company. Shares, my life insurance, my assets, and a nice public narrative of being the grieving perfect wife, the woman everyone would rush to comfort. I heard it with my own ears. I remember hiding in my office late one night, reviewing camera footage because something in the building had been glitching, and the audio from the hallway camera picked up her voice, soft but deadly, telling Darius that she wanted it done within the week. I listened to my wife ordering my death, and something inside me broke, not with tears, not with rage, but with a kind of cold clarity I had never experienced before, a clarity that whispered a single truth in my ear. If she wanted me dead, then I was going to give her exactly what she wanted, but on my terms, not hers. For days I pretended everything was normal. I kissed her goodnight, cooked dinner, made small talk, all while planning a revenge so perfect that even she wouldn't see it coming. I contacted a friend of mine from college, a man who now worked in private intelligence, and told him everything. He helped me stage what needed to be staged: a car accident, a fiery wreck on a remote road, a body burned beyond recognition, and dental records swapped to match mine. Within 72 hours, Cameron Ward was officially declared dead. I watched my own funeral from a distance, wearing a hat, dark glasses, and a beard I had been growing for weeks, and I will never forget the look on Serena's face. She wasn't grieving, she wasn't heartbroken, she was glowing, radiant, almost euphoric, and next to her, standing too close for someone supposedly just a friend, was Darius. They thought they had won, but the game hadn't even begun. I stayed hidden for a while, moving from safe house to safe house, watching everything through cameras and accounts I still had access to. The first thing she did after the funeral was disgusting. She filed insurance claims within 48 hours. She also tried to gain control of my company, but that is when she realized something she had overlooked. My partner, Ethan, refused to sign off on anything. He suspected something about her, and without my signature or confirmation, she couldn't touch the core of my business. But that didn't stop her. She spun lies, cried in meetings, manipulated people into thinking she had been the perfect wife. But cracks began to appear, and with every crack, I tightened my trap. Then came the twist even I didn't see coming. Serena wasn't just plotting with Darius, she was cheating on him too, with a financial advisor she had hired to help her navigate widowhood, a man named Clark. And suddenly everything made sense. Serena didn't love anyone, she didn't want loyalty, she wanted control, wealth, power, freedom, and she would use anyone like chess pieces to get it. Even Darius, the man she had hired to kill me, didn't know she was planning to get rid of him once the money was secured. She was going to betray the man she committed murder with. That was when I realized I didn't need to expose her myself, I just needed to let her own lies collide. So I set it up, slowly, carefully. I left breadcrumbs for Darius, anonymous messages, screenshots, recordings of her conversations with Clark. I sent hints to Clark too, financial inconsistencies, suspicious transfers. I made sure each man knew just enough to grow paranoid, but not enough to know who was feeding them the information. I watched them spiral, the mistrust growing between them like a wildfire. I stayed patient, silent, invisible, until the night everything exploded. Serena met with Clark in a hotel room, and Darius followed her there. What happened inside that room was chaos, shouting, accusations, Serena trying to lie her way out of it, Clark panicking, Darius losing control. The confrontation ended with police sirens, Clark arrested for assault, Darius running, and Serena standing in the middle of the hallway screaming at both of them, her perfect life collapsing in front of her eyes. That was when I decided it was time for my curtain call. I had my friend send her a message from an encrypted account, a single sentence that would freeze her blood. "You killed the wrong man." She didn't sleep for 2 days. She looked like she had aged 10 years overnight, pacing back and forth in our bedroom, repeating my name under her breath. When she finally broke down crying, begging the empty room for forgiveness, I knew she was finally feeling the fear she had intended for me. I confronted her on a rainy night, inside the house she thought she now owned. I walked into the living room while she was pouring herself a drink, and the moment she saw me, she dropped the glass, trembling, whispering my name like she was seeing a ghost. I told her everything, how I knew, how I watched her, how her lovers turned against her, how her own greed had destroyed her, and then I told her something she never expected. I wasn't going to kill her, I wasn't going to touch her, I was going to let the world see who she really was. I handed the police every recording, every message, every piece of evidence of her hiring Darius, of her insurance fraud, and of her financial crimes with Clark, and within days, Serena Ward, the woman who tried to murder me, was arrested, not crying like the grieving widow she pretended to be, but sobbing like a child caught in her own web of lies. Darius was caught too. Clark was already behind bars, and I stood there watching all of them fall one by one, not because I was cruel, but because justice demanded it, because betrayal deserves consequences, because a heart that cold should never walk free. My company survived, my reputation skyrocketed, and eventually, I rebuilt myself, but the truth is, a part of me died that night on the road when I faked my death. Not the part Serena wanted gone, but the part that believed love was safe, simple, and trustworthy. I learned the hard way that some people don't want your heart, they want your life, your success, your soul, and if you are not careful, they will take it all with a smile. So if you are listening to me now, understand this one warning from a man who crawled out of his own grave. The people closest to you can sometimes be the most dangerous. Pay attention, stay aware, and never assume loyalty just because someone says they love you. Love is shown in actions, not words, and betrayal is quieter than death until it strikes. And as for me, Cameron Ward, the man who died and came back, I walk forward with scars, but also with strength, and I promise you, no matter how dark your world becomes, no matter who betrays you, you can always rise again, just like I did, and when you do, make sure your revenge is not hot, not cold, but fair, undeniable, and unforgettable. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell me, what would you have done if you were in my place?